If moving isn't stressful enough, imagine taking all your stuff, storing it in low quality janky boxes, have it taken away and stored who knows where, then just hope it all shows up on time when you get to your new home. What could go wrong? So we just moved using U-haul Uboxes. We sold our house in April and didn't get possession of our new place until June, so we needed to store our stuff somewhere for a couple months. And not only did we have to put our stuff in storage, we were also relocating to a frickin' island, so we needed to have it delivered also. After a long couple of months of living like nomads, couch surfing, bouncing between our parents' houses, just kidding, Mom, it was awesome. We are finally in our new space. We could have rented a storage locker, but then we would have had to move our stuff twice. We eventually learned about moving pods, and they sounded awesome. When I called the major competitors, the prices ranged between $3,500 and $5,000 Canadian for the top 3 or 4 companies. Oof! And while we didn't hear the greatest things about the U-haul boxes, I figured I would call them too. Their quote was for $1,500. Whoa! For that price, we were like, yep, we'll try it. Now that wasn't what we ended up paying. More on that in a minute. But here's what it was like using the U-boxes from U-haul. First, let's talk about the good. Some of the people you deal with are helpful. Some. And our stuff did make it to our new home and nothing was broken. Do I seem surprised they did the one thing they were supposed to do? Yeah, a little. Out of all the competitors, U-haul has the smallest boxes, but they are actually really convenient. I gotta say, they're about 8 by 4 feet by another 8 feet. So you can creatively put them in your driveway to optimize space. Then with some good Tetrising, you can fit a lot in there. They can deliver extra boxes and you only pay for what you use. That's cool. But let's be real, while the downside list is a lot longer, ultimately it was affordable. The final cost was around 1,900 Canadian dollars for everything, which is still less than half of what the competitors were charging. Now let's talk about why it costs so much less. Here are the downsides to using U-haul Uboxes. First, the box quality is meh. They are essentially plywood boxes wrapped in thick tarps with a plastic hat on top. To be fair, even though 2 out of the 5 boxes we had were pretty beat up and the doors were extremely hard to close, they survived brutal rains and none of our stuff was broken or wet. Now some of the boxes seem to be super flimsy. If someone wanted to get into those boxes though, they could. They were apparently stored in a secure place, but it sounded like they were in a tent on a farm. Whatever, nothing was missing. Now the customer service can be excruciatingly frustrating. You're calling a general number to a call center and then you get bounced around all over the country, different countries in our case. So prepare to spend at least 15 to 30 minutes at least per phone call. And you will need to make a few calls. Annoying. Now they do have an app you can log into and see the delivery date, but the app doesn't instill confidence. Next, you have to guess how many boxes you need. Then you have to provide your own locks. Like, what am I gonna do with 5 locks now? Here's the worst part. They were a day late picking up the boxes. Like, what the fluff? The delivery of the boxes was on time, but the day they came to pick them up, you know, moving day, they didn't show up. We were out of the house that night and had given keys to the new owners who were moving in the next day. And when the next day arrives, the U-haul driver shows up and texts us like, there's a moving truck in front of the house, I can't pick up the boxes. We were like, yeah, no that's why we wanted you to come yesterday. Holy stress, Batman. Luckily, the new owners were cool and we worked with them to get the pods picked up and stored away. But this was just the first half of our move, and at this point we had zero confidence that the rest of the move would even happen on time. Then that same driver told us that we would need to unload those 5 boxes on the other side in less than an hour so she could get the boxes back to the mainland. What? That's not what they said on the phone. So again, I had to call 18 people to finally get through to someone and tell them we need a couple days, and they said that that would be fine. And to be honest, the last half, getting them delivered and having the boxes for a few days was awesome. But still, those few days, we were freaking out because you don't know. You read about a lot of hidden fees, and we didn't know what we were gonna end up paying for at the end. So for the fees, like each box is supposed to come with 4 bags of moving blankets each, and most of ours only came with 2. So we had to call to get more blankets delivered. And here's something really annoying. You have to refold the blankets or they charge you. And you need to keep the bags they came in or they could charge you for that too. Luckily, my wife and family helped out with all the folding because look at this mound of blankets. Oh my gosh. And we didn't get charged for any extras. And I think the reason the price was higher ultimately was because we were moving to an island and the person we talked to in the United States, somewhere in Nashville, didn't even realize that there'd be ferry fees, etc. So, should you use U-haul Uboxes for your move. You know, at the end of the day, the cost was just so much cheaper than the competition. And even though it wasn't the best experience and really stressful at times, everything did arrive without any broken glass, and the dates, at least on the drop-off, were exact, though being a day late on the pickup was brutal, especially because we tried to organize that for months ahead. The thing is, U-Haul is the label, but they often work with smaller local companies to get the work done. And it's a lot of communicating from you to U-Haul to them that needs to happen for things to go flawlessly. And unless you can get the number of the local companies storing the U-Haul boxes, it can be quite frustrating. It does work better in a small town. But yeah, being able to have a bunch of smaller boxes and load them at our convenience was awesome, and the price was really reasonable. And that was the most important thing for us, keeping the costs down. I think if you want better service and don't mind paying a little more for less stress, something like the big steel boxes in particular had such great service when I was calling around. I wanted to use them, but their containers were a little too big for our driveway and the price was just that much higher. We didn't mind doing the lion's share of the work ourselves to save money. So if you're ever considering moving with pods, which I do recommend, if price is a factor for you and you don't need laser beam times for pickup and drop off, I would recommend going with the U-Haul Uboxes. Just set your expectations properly. You're doing it because you want to save money, even at the price of your sanity. But anyway, we did it. We are here and it was totally worth it. We've moved at least every 3 years over the last 20 years, but this house, as you will see in future videos, it's pretty damn special. We really want to stay here for the long run, and now that we're here, we're really happy. I'm so excited to finally get here and start making videos again. We've been so busy for the last few months, but I have a lot of cool things to talk about, so stay tuned. In the meantime, maybe check out this video next, or how about this one? Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time on The Sad Life. Dad!